The morning starts like any other in the Alastor routine, which means it starts wrong for everyone else, because when the radio demon is quiet, something is brewing, and today the difference is immediate, visible, undeniable. He steps out into the lobby and the air shifts, not from power but from confusion. His silhouette is different, slimmer waist, longer hair cascading in sharp, elegant waves, facial structure softened, yet still carrying that same uncanny grin that looks carved rather than worn. And his voice when he greets the room keeps its vintage radio distortion, but now rings with a lighter tone, almost melodic. And the effect is disorienting because nothing about him feels weaker, nothing about him feels diminished. If anything, the contrast makes him more unsettling, like a familiar melody played in the wrong key. Charlie freezes mid-step. Her brain trying to categorize what she is seeing, Vaggie immediately reaches for suspicion. Angel Dust bursts out laughing before stopping halfway, because even he can tell this is not a joke. And Alastor, now very clearly female in form but identical in presence, simply tilts her head and asks why everyone is staring, as if she walked in wearing a slightly different hat. And that reaction alone sets the tone, because this is not a crisis for her. This is not even an inconvenience. This is novelty, and Alastor loves novelty. She walks across the room with the same measured steps, cane tapping in rhythm, and every movement carries that same theatrical precision. But now there is an added elegance, a sharper control in posture, and it feels intentional even if it is not. Like she has always known how to move this way, like the body changed but the performance adapted instantly. And that is what unsettles everyone the most. Not the transformation itself, but how quickly Alastor owns it. Charlie finally asks the question everyone is thinking, what happened? And Alastor gives a vague answer. Something about a curious shift, a delightful twist of fate. Nothing concrete, nothing helpful, because she does not care to investigate yet. She wants to experience it first. She spins slightly, examining her own reflection in a nearby surface, adjusting her sleeve, testing her voice again with a short hum, and then she smiles wider, because she realizes something important. People react differently now, and Alastor thrives on reactions. Angel tries to make a joke about competition, but his tone carries a hint of caution, because even he can sense that this is not a simple change in appearance. It alters the dynamic. Vaggie steps closer to Charlie, protective, analyzing, looking for weakness, but she finds none. The aura is the same. The pressure in the room still tightens when Alastor shifts her attention, and that confirms it. This is still the same entity, just wearing a different shell, and that realization spreads through the group like a quiet warning. Alastor begins to test the boundaries immediately. She leans into interactions, stands closer than usual, lets her voice soften just enough to pull attention in before snapping back into that sharp cadence. And each shift feels calculated, even if she claims it is instinct. Husk watches from the bar, unimpressed but alert. He has seen enough to know that when Alastor experiments, things escalate. And today feels like the start of an experiment. Nifty is fascinated. She circles around Alastor, admiring the outfit, the posture, the energy, and Alastor indulges her curiosity, allowing the inspection with a polite smile, because attention feeds the moment. And then comes the real shift. Alastor realizes influence has changed, not power, but perception. The way others interpret her presence now carries a different edge. Some underestimate, some hesitate, some are more curious than afraid, and Alastor sees opportunity in all of it. She leans into charm more than intimidation, not because she needs to, but because she wants to see how far it goes. She tests conversations, draws responses out, lets people speak longer before cutting them off. And each interaction becomes data. Charlie notices this and grows uneasy, because Alastor is not reacting randomly, she is learning, adapting in real time. And that is when Charlie tries to ground the situation. She suggests focusing on the hotel, on the goal, on redemption. But Alastor responds with amusement, because this change does not disrupt her plans, it enhances them. New angles, new approaches, new ways to manipulate outcomes. And that thought alone is enough to make Vaggie step in more aggressively, questioning motives, demanding clarity. But Alastor deflects with ease, turning questions into jokes, tension into performance, and never once losing control of the room. The day continues, and the hotel becomes a stage for this new version of Alastor. She moves through spaces differently, pauses longer, lets silence linger before speaking, and each choice pulls more attention. Even when she does nothing, people watch, and she knows it, she uses it. And that is the core of the change, not the body, not the voice, but the way she recalibrates her presence to maximize impact. Angel tries to flirt out of habit, then realizes halfway through that he is no longer leading the interaction. Alastor flips it instantly, turns his own energy back on him, and leaves him off balance. And that moment shows everyone that nothing has been lost, only reshaped. Husk mutters that this will end badly, because it always does when Alastor gets bored, and boredom feels far away right now. Because everything is new again, and Alastor thrives in new environments. Charlie tries once more to understand if this is permanent. Alastor gives the closest thing to honesty so far. She says it does not matter, because permanence is irrelevant when control is maintained. And that line lands heavy, because it reveals the truth. Alastor does not define herself by form. She defines herself by influence, by control, by the ability to shape outcomes. And none of that has changed. If anything, it has expanded. The day shifts into evening and the hotel settles. But the tension remains, because everyone knows this is not over. This is only the beginning of how Alastor will use this change. She stands by the window, looking out over hell, adjusting her gloves again, testing the fit, and then she speaks softly, almost to herself, about perspective, about how a small shift can reveal new paths, and there is a quiet excitement in her tone, not chaos, not destruction, but curiosity. And that is more dangerous, because curiosity drives experimentation, and experimentation leads to consequences. Charlie watches from a distance, worried but determined. Badgie stays close, ready. Angel keeps his guard up, even while joking. Husk pours another drink, expecting trouble. And Alastor, now in this altered form, smiles into the reflection of the glass, because she sees something new. Not a limitation, not a disruption, but an expansion of possibility. And in a place like hell, where identity is often fixed and power defines everything, Alastor just proved that even the smallest change in form can ripple through every interaction, every relationship, every plan. And she intends to explore every single one of those ripples, one step at a time. With that same controlled grin, that same calculated presence, and that same unshakable confidence that no matter what shape she takes, she is still the one holding the strings, and everyone else is still dancing, whether they realize it or not. And that is what makes this transformation matter. Not the visual shift, but the strategic advantage it creates, because Alastor does not adapt to change. She turns change into leverage. And now the entire hotel has to adjust to a version of her that feels new, unpredictable, and somehow even more precise than before. And the real question is not whether she will turn back, but how far she will push this before she gets bored. Because when Alastor gets bored, that is when the real chaos begins. And right now, she is more entertained than ever.